From the State Farm Center in Champaign, Illinois, we're moments away from an IHSA 2A state final. It's the DePaul Prep Rams taking on the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints in the game that you all play for all season long. It all comes down to this. Glad you're with us with John Camosa, Larry Larson in with you, our entire Clutch Sports Media team. And John, DePaul Prep kind of had an up and down regular season, but they really turned it on down the stretch thanks to getting some key players back after season-long injuries. Bloomington Central Catholic, on the other hand, has been led all season long by the Power 5 recruit, Cole Serta. It's going to be a lot of star power in this one.
Yeah, out of all the teams in the state finals, Cole Serta, hands down, one of the best shooters in the entire state of Illinois. So he's going to be fired up, ready to go for this game. Bloomington Central Catholic, like you said, they have 11 losses this year, but they really turned it on late. Got some big wins down the stretch, and that win over Rock Ridge in the semifinal, you know, the icing on the cake to get here. And for DePaul Prep, Larry, they've been to the state finals in 2019, 2022, but came up short of the championship game, getting 2 third-place finishes. So you know they're hungry for a win here today.
Yeah, these are two programs that are experienced on the big stage, right? You've got DePaul Prep, who first of all plays in the Chicago Catholic League, so they play 3A and 4A teams like St. Rita, powerhouse these last few years. They play a really tough schedule, and that really does them well when it comes to playoff time. And you look at their record, 22-12 and 4-7 in conference play, you might think, oh, this is really an underdog, but that is not the case, led by Tom Kleinschmidt, the former DePaul great.
Yeah, and you know, like you said, Larry, this DePaul Prep team, they play a loaded schedule, a lot of bigger teams. And when you look at them on the court right here, 2A team, kind of size-wise, almost a 3A, 4A. You look at Peyton Kamen, 6'8". You look at Jalen McElroy, 6'7". A lot of size down low for Bloomington Central Catholic today to guard.
It is a lot of size to guard, but then you look at the Saints roster. They come in 26-11. They had a really nice regular season, and they've carried that over into the playoffs. They weren't unbeatable in the regular season because they really played a tough schedule south of I-80. But you mentioned that size. You've got Cole Serta at 6'5", but he plays at the guard spot. Then you've got Colin Hayes on the inside at 6'6". It's really going to be up to those two to try and slow down that ramp size.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Colin Hayes in that win over Rock Ridge, 10 points, 8 rebounds. Cole Serta, a little bit of a rough start in that first half, really turned it on in the fourth quarter for Bloomington Central Catholic. But like you said, Larry, that size for Bloomington Central Catholic as well. They can get in the paint. They can score. Also a team that loves to shoot the ball beyond the perimeter. They got other shooters other than just Serta. Chase Fisher, another guy that can light up a box score.
100%, and I think that's what Jason Welsh kind of talked about in the coach's call earlier this week. He said, well, you got to pay a lot of attention to Serta, but he's surrounded by other shooters. So if you pay too much attention to Serta, it could come back to bite you.
Yeah, it certainly can. And, you know, when he really gets in his rhythm, Cole Serta is one of the most dominating players in this Class 2A. You know, like we said, that rough start early against Rock Ridge, 3 points in the first half, went off for 16 in the second half to finish with 19. So when he starts hitting his groove, he can really, you know, shoot the ball. And it's not just his three-point shooting ability. Another player that likes to drive and get inside, also really good assist leader.
It's about 9 minutes before our starting lineup introductions here at the State Farm Center in Champaign, getting you set for DePaul Prep and Bloomington Central Catholic here on Clutch Sports Media. So glad you're with us. This is so much fun, these games, right? Because the spotlight is so big, the arena is big, the lights literally shine just a little bit brighter here in the State Farm Center.
Yeah, it does, and you know, with this new format we changed over from last season, moving out of Peoria into Champaign, and also, can you really beat 4 state championship games in one day? Great for the fans, great for the environment. It's just a fun day overall.
CSM will carry 2 of those games, one of which, of course, you're listening to the pregame coverage of right now, 2A between DePaul Prep and Bloomington Central Catholic, but then Metamora and Chicago Simeon for the 3A state title. We'll carry that one on 101.1 FM in Peoria or on ESPNPeoria.com. You'll have the call with that one with Jonathan Michaels. So a lot of great basketball today on CSM, and we're glad you're aboard. Should be fun.
Definitely, and you know, to your point, Larry, that Metamora game, we talked with Danny Greaves. They beat Simeon last year in the semifinal to get to the state championship, so a little bit of tension runs high in that game. He said Simeon players, giving the Metamora players a little bit of a stare down in the tunnel. Looking forward to that game. That's right after this one, but right here in 2A, we got another great game in store.
That one tips off at 5:30 p.m., and that will be an on-time tip-off because there's a break in between sessions between the 1A state title game and the 2A state title game, and then in the evening it's 3A and 4A. Back to business here in the 2A state final matchup between DePaul Prep and Bloomington Central Catholic. Looking at the semifinal matchups for both these teams, starting with BCC, John, it was a little bit of a rock fight as they took down Rockridge 57-44. In the first quarter, it was a clear adjustment period for both teams. Neither of them really looked comfortable, but once the dust settled, it was BCC that fired on all cylinders.
Yeah, I think once they started getting in their rhythm, once Serta started heating up, defense was the big key for Bloomington Central Catholic in that 57-44 win. They shot 18 for 20 from the free throw line, so that was key, but also held Rockridge 4 for 22 from 3. If you can hold Rockridge to that percentage from 3, you're going to win the game 9 times out of 10.
As for DePaul Prep, perhaps, speaking of defense, one of the most impressive defensive performances that we have ever seen in the state finals. They defeated Teutopolis by a score of 45-17. That's 17 points, not in the first half, not in the first quarter, the whole game. They didn't even score in the fourth quarter, Teutopolis didn't. So when you talk defense, this DePaul Prep's Ram team, oh man, they can play it.
Yeah, and if you told a coach, you know, hey, you're going to hold the other team scoreless in the entire fourth quarter in a state semifinal game, it's pretty hard to do. You know, you can do it in the regular season, but a state semifinal, very impressive showing, and then to hold them under 20 points, like you said, Larry. This DePaul Prep team can play. I think the defensive battle between the two is going to be a fun one.
It definitely will be, and we mentioned that size a few minutes ago. DePaul Prep definitely has the size advantage. So I think for Bloomington Central Catholic, a lot of that is going to come down on Colin Hayes and Cole Serta. Defensively, BCC has to lock up the inside.
Yeah, it's going to be big. You got to put a lot of pressure on their bigs. I mean, we talked about that. Jalen McElroy at 6'7", Peyton Kamen at 6'8". That's two guys that kind of clog the paint down there and can get after it. I think the rebounding is going to be key today for BCC. Try to disrupt some of their shots as well. But, you know, for BCC, it's going to come down to defense.
And we do want to point out that there's only one common opponent between these two teams this year, and that is Teutopolis, with Bloomington Central Catholic losing to Teutopolis back in December. I was on December 9th, and the Saints fell to the Wooden Shoes. Yes, the Teutopolis is the Wooden Shoes, in case you weren't familiar. 75-63. I don't think that's a very good sign for the Saints, considering how badly DePaul dispatched Teutopolis yesterday.
Yeah, you know, you look at that score, and quite the opposite, 17 points. They put up 75 on Bloomington Central Catholic. Kind of depends on the day which Teutopolis came out and played. But, you know, we're going to see in this first half, I think the big key is kind of what we've seen in all the games this week, Larry. Who can control that tempo, the momentum early, and kind of ride it throughout. You're going to have the fans behind you, a loud student section, so feed off that energy here at State Farm Center.
4 minutes and 15 seconds until the starting lineup introductions on the floor. The Lou Henson Court inside the State Farm Center in Champaign, Illinois. Larry Larson, John Camosa, Teddy Ball, Jack Larson, Jonathan Michael, Kenny Clifton, Charles Green, Joey Wright. We got a few people in the house today. Want to thank everybody for their hard work all week long. And it kind of is a marathon, right? We've done a few marathon tournaments with the State Farm Holiday Classic. Saints fans are familiar with that one. And also the Washington Tournament of Champions. But as Teddy Ball's drink gets knocked over, I also think
that was my drink.
Oh, man.
Left it over there, loose ball.
Powerade got knocked over by a basketball here in warm-ups. But the state finals, a little bit of underrated work, right? Because you've got the third-place games that go late every single day on Thursday and Friday. I want to take a moment to thank the entire IHSA staff that does such a great job with this event.
Yeah, it's really incredible what they've done. You know, hard workers. With this new format, a lot of games Thursday, a lot of games Friday. You got your third place games. We didn't tip off last night till 9:20 when New Trier played. So, late start. You got a lot of staff members sticking around. Just a really good job by the IHSA putting this together in Champaign. It's been a great 2 years since transitioning from Peoria. It's great for the fans. Hospitality's great. They've treated us well, that's for sure.
They certainly have. And in 2 minutes and 45 seconds, we'll see who the state title game treats well. DePaul Prep and Bloomington Central Catholic about to get underway. John, let's dig into the path to the state title game for both these teams, starting with BCC, who will be the visitors on the scoreboard today. They really kind of mowed through their first few games in the bracket. And, yesterday, or rather Thursday's state semifinal win over Rockridge, the final score was a little wider than I think the first 3 quarters kind of indicated. It was a little bit closer.
Yeah, it was. And I think going back to their schedule through the playoffs, one of their really impressive wins for BCC was taking down Normal U-High. U-High beats Sacred Heart Griffin, who just fell short of getting the state. They were state champions last year in 3A. But that's a team they faced 4 times. They say tough to beat a team, or tough to figure out a team 3 times. They saw them 4 times. They finally kind of got over the hump and beat them, and then running into Rockridge, who's notorious for kind of getting a deep postseason run, getting a state. They were able to hang on and win that game, thanks to Cole Serta having a big performance. But it's going to take a total team effort today. DePaul Prep, a team that likes to get out and run, so should be an exciting game.
Taking it game by game through BCC's path here to state, they were in the Pleasant Plains sectional. They started things off with a win over Riverton, 67-31, then defeated Maroa Forsyth in the regional title game, 80-54. In sectionals, they defeated the host, Pleasant Plains, 33-31. That was a rock fight, so they can play low-scoring games, as we've seen. And you mentioned that win over Normal U-High, 72-69, in the sectional title game. That avenged their loss in one of their final regular season games. U-High got the best of them, but BCC won when it mattered. And then, of course, in the Sweet 16, rather Super 16 in the IHSA, they defeated Pontiac in Super Sectionals and then defeated Rockridge on Thursday to get here to the final. Flipping over to DePaul Prep, speaking of mowing through teams, my goodness, they didn't play many close games whatsoever throughout the bracket. They defeated Noble Academy 71-23, Chicago Latin School 56-36, Chicago Clark 62-42, North Lawndale gave them a little bit of a run, 50-42, and then Chicago Perspectives also played them close, 50-46, before they blew out Teutopolis on Thursday.
Yeah, that's a team that if you let DePaul Prep get going, if your defense isn't there, they can run up the score on you. So, like we said, for BCC, it's going to be big tonight. Defense. This DePaul Prep team, though, fun to watch. Got a lot of talent on this team. In years past, some Division I prospects, so definitely a loaded roster up and down.
It certainly is. The lights have dimmed inside the State Farm Center. Both teams gathered up at their respective free throw lines, about to converge at center court for a handshake. That's a state tradition that we've seen here all week before every single game. Both teams meet at center court and shake hands. They're doing that right now. And before we get into the starting lineups, I mean, what a great tradition, and I bet both teams starting to feel the nerves a little bit. All comes down right now.
Yeah, I think for a lot of teams in this state, not only state semifinals, but state championship games, those nerves are there in the opening minutes, and then they start to wear down a little bit once you start getting in the game, kind of zone everything out. A lot of players might not have played in a crowd like this in a college arena, a lot of fans, so you got to try to block out some of that pressure and just focus in on the game.
Before we get to our starting lineups, I want to thank our sponsors for this broadcast, High End Hoops Basketball Training, providing Central Illinois with detail-oriented basketball workouts. It's individual training in a group setting. Visit highendhoops.com. That's HEYEN hoops.com. Also brought to you by the Athlete Factory in Bloomington Normal. Come train with the best athletes in Central Illinois. Email info@thefactorybn.com for more information. I want to thank High End Hoops and the Athlete Factory in Bloomington Normal for making all this coverage possible of a great BCC team. They certainly deserve to be chronicled, and This program under Jason Welsh has had a lot of great success. They've won a state title before, trying to do it again today.
Yeah, Jason Welch, he's coached a lot of great players, a lot of great teams in his 18th year here at Bloomington Central Catholic. I think you can see this one, he wants this one special for him. This team's really battled. He said previously, early in the season, this guy's battle, a lot of adversity they face. Kind of season's been up and down, but they've won when it mattered, and that was the postseason. They're here on the ultimate stage for the state title.
Starting lineups being introduced right now for the Bloomington Central Catholic Saints, and they're visiting navy blue uniforms with gold trim, gold lettering, and gold numbers. Let's get you their starting lineup. It starts with the star guard, 6'5" junior Cole Serta, averages 26.5 points per game. He's followed up by Chase Fisher, a 6'1" senior guard, Rye Pertz, a 6-foot senior guard, Colin Hayes, the big man in the middle, 6'6" junior center, and Trey Eller rounds it out, the 6'3" sophomore forward. So BCC, not as much size as DePaul Prep, but they've certainly got the size in the middle with Colin Hayes. He's going to need to have a big game today.
Yeah, Colin Hayes, one of those players, attacks the basket, very physical, gets a lot of rebounds. We talked about in that game against Rockridge, all over the boards with 8 rebounds. He averages 8.4 rebounds a game, so a guy right there kind of in the double-double range, averaging 11 points. He's going to be big. I think he's kind of the X factor for Bloomington Central Catholic. Obviously, DePaul Prep going to zone in on Serta.
Let's get you the DePaul Prep starting lineup just as it gets introduced over the PA system. And it starts with Makai Kavame, 6-foot sophomore guard. Scored 2 points in the win over Teutopolis. PJ Chambers, a 6'2" junior guard, also gets the starting nod, averages just over 10 points a game. Peyton Kamen, we talked about him a few moments ago, the 6'8" junior forward. Missed most of the regular season with an injury, but here he is playing when it matters most. Maurice Thomas, a guy that really propelled DePaul to their regular season success, starts at guard. He stands at 6 foot. And Jalen McElroy rounds it out, the 6'7" junior forward. And John, I hate to be a broken record, but it's size, and more size for the Rams. 6 foot, 6'2", 6'8", 6 foot, and 6'7".
Yeah, a lot of size down low. They got a lot of guards that can shoot the three as well. That's going to be big. We talked about that for BCC. Try to clog the paint, disrupt some of their shots. They got some big guys that can score it.
DePaul Prep in their home whites with navy blue numbers, navy blue DePaul Prep text across the chest. As we mentioned, the Saints in their traveling navy blues, gold numbers, and gold lettering. Well, it all comes down to this. Both student sections on their feet. A lot of fans on their feet. Parents, friends, grandparents. A lot of nervous energy in this building right now, but not exactly apparent by the chanting and jumping inside the orange seats here in State Farm Center. It'll be Colin Hayes to jump up against Jalen McElroy as we wait for the tip-off in the midst of a TV timeout. There's the buzzer. Now we're ready for basketball. Here we go. The 2A state title game is underway between BCC and DePaul Prep. The tip is won by the Saints. And BCC moves from right to left. Cole Serta turns it over right away into the hands of McElroy. He slips by Serta at the right block and lays it up and in.
Showing that speed early, able to get the steal. McElroy right to the basket. It's by a defender, finishes right at the glass.
Big fella at 6'7", moving a little quicker than 6'7". It's 2-0 DePaul Prep. Fisher with it at deep left for the Saints. Passes right to Rye Pertz. Now to the corner for Trey Eller, the 6'3" sophomore forward. Tries to drive on Kamen and can't. Passes into the high post. Hayes, one dribble, spin move, left-handed layup, good. Knocks it up at 2. Nice response from Hayes.
That's what he's done all season long. That footwork, able to spin by the defender, finish with the left hand. Very talented player in Hayes.
Kavame walks it up and passes into the post for Peyton Kamen. He spins and scores. Man, we need to get some washing machines out here. All kinds of spin moves early. And it's DePaul Prep 4 and BCC 2.
Yeah, the two guys we keyed in on, McElroy and Kamen, first 2 points of the game.
6:50 to play in the opening quarter. Glad you're with us to a state final matchup. Chase Fisher hands off at the deep right wing to Rye Pertz. He pulls up from 3, left it short. And the rebound comes down to Maurice Thomas and DePaul Prep. He heaves ahead to Kavame, passes into the post for McElroy. He's cut off on the baseline, swings it back out to Kavame, and he resets. Dribbles up top near the block eye and surveys his options. Kamen steps back, thought about the 3, thought better of it, passes to Thomas. He drives, shoots, scores, doesn't score, and he's fouled. I'll have a chance to score at the free throw line.
This is a team that's going to continue to go at you. They love to go to the basket right there. They draw contact. They're going to play quick, too. It's an up-tempo team. They like to get defenses out and run.
First free throw off the mark from Maurice Thomas, 6-foot senior guard. We mentioned that he was really a key piece throughout the regular season. He was the backbone of this team with McElroy out and Kamen out for most of the regular season with an injury. After the first miss, Thomas makes his second free throw. He's a guy who averages 11.5 points per game. 5-2 DePaul Prep lead. Saints with it, moving from right to left on your imaginary radio dial. Fisher lobs to the left corner from the right corner to Perch. He tries the baseline J, rattles around, in and out. Rebound tipped out. It's out off of DePaul Prep, so it stays with the Saints.
Another chance for BCC here. Tie the game with a 3, cut it to 1 with a 2. So
Chase Fisher from the right side of the basket lobs it into Cole Serta at the right corner. A few head fakes, now a dribble drive on the baseline. He's cut off by Thomas. Now he's double teamed by McElroy, and he turns it over. Kavame tips it away, dribbles into the paint, and he's fouled by Rye Pertz. Good job by Pertz to recover and prevent the shot. Are they going to call it on the shot? They will not. It's on the floor. And so Kavame and the Rams will keep possession. McElroy inbounds into the corner and gets it right back at the deep corner. He spins by the baseline, contested layup, got it over Colin Hayes. And Jalen McElroy is slicing up BCC early. Jason Welsh takes a timeout with 5:36 left in the first. It's 7-2 Rams.
Yeah, a good timeout there from Welsh. Like we said, this DePaul Prep team, if they get you down early, they can really start running up the score. They're showing that size inside that we talked about. They're getting out and running, already getting their hands on some balls, getting some steals. So right now, 7-2 advantage. They got to be feeling good out of this timeout.
McElroy with 4 of DePaul Prep's 7 so far. I want to take a moment to thank our officials today. It's a big accomplishment to officiate a state title game. Chris Mays is the referee. Larry Barnett, Aaron Wright, and Darren Greenwald is the alternate. Glad you're with us inside the State Farm Center, home of the Illinois Fighting Illini, home of the IHSA state final games, 4 of them today. Here in Class 2A, DePaul Prep leads Bloomington Central Catholic 7-2. Out of the break, it's Saints basketball. Trey Eller with it between the circles. Passes right to Rye Pertz. Weaves in and out of traffic. Passes back up top to Eller. Looks for Hayes in the post and hits him with a bounce pass. Hayes crosses over twice, passes back out. Fisher thought about the 3 at the left wing. Crosses over again, picks up his dribble and swings it to Eller. He tries a deep 3, missed it short, and the long rebound falls out of bounds. Last touch by BCC. It's Rams ball as they lead 7-2, 5 minutes to play in the first.
And early on, DePaul Prep doing a really good job guarding Serta, putting a lot of pressure, not letting him get open looks. Right there, kind of a tough shot for BCC from 3, couldn't get it to fall.
Makai Kavame walks it up, passes into the corner for P.J. Chambers. He thought about the 3, worked around to the left wing, Thomas. He also shot fakes, now dribbles back up top to the right wing, passes back to Kavame, surveys the zone defense from BCC, passes to the right wing. Kamen, open 3, left it short. Offensive rebound, McElroy, passes to the inside. Kamen tries the layup, and it rolls off the attachment. Rebound comes down to the Saints, and Pertz walks it up. He has it deep right after a strong defensive possession from the Saints. Work to the left wing, Chase Fisher, who lobs to the corner for Cole Serta. The star is yet to score, takes 1 dribble, reverses to the right corner. Dribble drive from Fisher, layup attempt from Eller, doesn't go, bounces off the attachment. Rebound to Kamen and the Rams.
Yeah, DePaul Prep making BCC work down low for their shots, putting a lot of pressure on them. Nothing's coming easy right now, only 2 points here, 4 minutes in.
Fouled just past half court, and that's going to be on Colin Hayes, who fouled Kavame. If you want Colin Hayes to foul, it's in the paint. It's not way outside the paint, John.
Yeah, exactly. Great point, Larry. Obviously, he's going to have his hands full with McElroy and Kamen down low. You don't want to pick up those fouls outside.
Rams basketball. Thomas with it at the wing. The left wing now. Kavame thought about the step back, passes up top. Thomas squares up the three, and he missed it left. Rebound falls to Serta and Bloomington Central Catholic as they trail by 5, 3:45 left in the first. Serta, dribble drive, kicks to the corner. Eller, three, no. Rebound battled around, and it is a loose ball foul on BCC. That's the fourth team foul. That one's going to be on Chase Fisher, and the fouls are starting to pile up as we head to the media timeout. With 3:41 left, DePaul Prep locking down Bloomington Central Catholic early. It's 7-2.
I think out of this timeout, they're going to try to make some adjustments. They're getting looks, Larry. That's the thing. The ball's just not falling for them right now, and DePaul Prep, they got to kind of stay within. It's 7-2, so BCC trying to cut into this deficit. Just can't get the ball to fall right now.
With this break, we want to remind you that you can train with the best at the Athlete Factory. Come train with the best athletes in Central Illinois. Email info@thefactorybn.com for more information. Also brought to you by High-End Hoops. High-End Hoops basketball training, providing Central Illinois with detail-oriented basketball workouts, individual training in a group setting. Visit highendhoops.com. That's H-E-Y-E-N hoops.com. I want to thank them for their support of Clutch Sports Media this week. 3:41 left in the first quarter. DePaul Prep has a 7-2 lead over Bloomington Central Catholic. And John, looking at the live stats here, it's a 1 of 6 start for the Saints. DePaul Prep 3 of 6 from the floor. That's a big difference early.
Yeah, it is. You know, DePaul Prep getting inside, we talked about that. Also a threat from the outside, team that likes to run and gun, but right now just kind of having their way with BCC. I think key thing too is they're putting a lot of pressure on Serta, pressuring a lot of their other perimeter shooters, not giving them anything easy. So that's the advantage right now for DePaul Prep. We'll see if BCC can kind of turn it around after this timeout, whatever Jason Welch draws up.
And talking about those early game jitters a little bit, John, we very evidently saw that in the semifinal game with Rockridge for Bloomington Central Catholic. And post-game, Jason Welch said it. He said, I could feel the nerves with our guys. There was definitely some nervousness there, and I just tried to calm them down a little bit. And eventually, once BCC settled in, they looked like the team that we've seen all year long. But against DePaul Prep, I think there's less room for error.
Yeah, and I think those nerves got to kind of quickly turn off. It's hard to just say, hey, turn those nerves off in a state championship game on the biggest stage, but you got to lock in, zone in right now.
Kavame with it for DePaul Prep, passes to P.J. Chambers, tries a baseline jumper, it rims in and out. Rebound falls to Cole Serta and Bloomington Central Catholic as they move it from right to left, trailing 7-5, 3:20 to go in the first. Pertz swings it to the right for Fisher, looks for the paint for options, lobs it into a double team, was looking for Colin Hayes, and a foul is called. I think BCC got a little lucky there. That was probably an ill-advised pass.
It kind of took the words out of my mouth. He floated that right up there for the 6'7". McElroy got away with the foul, but they did catch a break right here, a chance to reset.
TJ Larson checks in for BCC, the game's first sub. Rye Pertz out of the ball game. Inbounds pass from right of the basket goes to Cole Serta. Right-handed dribble, dribbles to the left wing, and hands off to Fisher. Mismatch against the big man McElroy. Fisher drives, floater, got it. Rimmed around and in. Makes it 7-4, 2:50 to go third quarter. Rather, first quarter. Big difference there. Would have been a rock fight if this were the third quarter. Maurice Thomas weaves inside the paint, lost the dribble, picks it back up, and he floats it up and in from the right block. Great job by Thomas to keep his composure.
Yeah, stuck with the play right there off the bobble, able to pick it back up and let it go.
9-4 DePaul Prep. At the right wing, Hayes reverses to the left wing for Larson. Bounce pass to the left baseline for Eller. He has the dribble poked away, but he picks it back up again. And passes to Chase Fisher, who dribbles away from the America's original March Madness logo at the wing. And a foul was called at midcourt as Kavame had a little too much contact, and he's showing the official, hey, I was hooked, but that a call does not go his way. So it stays with the Saints, and Fisher will trigger it in from the right baseline. 2:15 to go in the first. He hits Serta with the inbounds pass. One-on-one with McElroy. Serta, crossover, slow dribble into the paint, picks it up at the right elbow, swings it to Fisher, the left three-point wing. Now Larson up top. He takes a few dribbles and reverses course back to the left side. It's Fisher, the deep left wing, guarded face-to-face by Maurice Thomas. He bounce passes to Larson. See if Serta gets a touch here. Eller at the left wing. Now it's Hayes in the corner. The big fella doesn't really like to shoot. The only guy on this team who doesn't like to shoot. Takes a few dribbles, passes to Serta. Left wing three, too strong. Rebound tipped around into the hands of Hayes. Stays with BCC. Layup try from Fisher. Around and in again. Chase Fisher makes it a three-point game. 90 seconds left in the first.
That's 4 straight points there from Fisher, able to get inside.
Maurice Thomas passes to the wing, into the right corner, 3-ball in and out of the hands of Peyton Kamen. Rebound goes to BCC. Serta walks it up, tries to drive from the right wing at the free throw line. Jumper, pure. Cole Serta has the ball game down to 1 with 1 minute left in the first quarter. It's 9-8 DePaul Prep.
And one of the unique things with DePaul Prep out of their man-to-man defense, they put 4 different players on Cole Serta, just everybody trying to get a
right wing three. Thomas goes down. The Rams needed that. Makes it 12-8.
That was a big one answering the call.
Serta walks it up for the Saints. 39 seconds left in the first quarter. As BCC is going to chew it up a little bit. I think they're going to hold for the final shot.
Probably a good idea here. You don't want to give any more momentum over to DePaul Prep. They can cut it to 1 point.
Some of the quietest moments we've heard in the arena all week.
Certainly is.
Deep right wing. Eller holds as DePaul Prep student section chants boring, boring. He hands off to Serta. 7 seconds on the timer. Serta drives inside the arc. Contested baseline jumper. Falls well short. And a foul underneath on the loose ball. That's going to be on BCC. That's going to be on Colin Hayes, his second already. Not good if you're BCC.
No, I think Serta wanted a foul there. Thought he got a little bit of arm, but Hayes picks up another foul. He's going to go to the bench. Not a good sign for BCC early in this game.
So Charlie Graham checks in. DePaul Prep inbounds. Heave from half court from Kavame. Misses right. And that's the end of the first quarter with DePaul Prep leading 12-8 over Bloomington Central Catholic in the 2A state title game. John, great fight from BCC. I think that's a much better first quarter than their first quarter in the Rockridge game on Thursday.
Yeah, they knew they had to come into this game and battle DePaul Prep. They were right within reach for this first quarter. And same thing with DePaul Prep. They got some shots there late in the first quarter, just couldn't get it to fall. But right now we're seeing a battle that we thought we were going to see.
I want to thank our sponsors for making today's broadcast possible. High End Hoops. High End Hoops basketball training, providing Central Illinois with detail-oriented basketball workouts, individualized training in a group setting. If you want to be the best, John, I know you can work on your game. Visit highendhoops.com. And also brought to you by the Athlete Factory. Come train with the best athletes in Central Illinois. Email info@thefactorybn.com. I know Cole Serta is known to get some workouts in at both those places, and certainly paid off.
It did, at the biggest stage, playing for a state championship, and one of the best three-point shooters in the state. You can tell, obviously, puts a lot of work into his game.
I'm glad you're with us on Clutch Sports Media. Tell your friends, tune in, free broadcast here of the IHSA 2A state final matchup. We'll also have a free broadcast of the IHSA 3A state title game between Metamora and Chicago Simeon. And that's coming up at 5:30 on ESPNPeoria.com and 101.1 FM in Peoria. I gotta say, one of the most fun things about watching BCC isn't the action on the court, but it's Jason Welsh and how animated he is. He just took his jacket off. He's wearing a suit and tie, and he said, you know what? I can't wear this jacket anymore. Too much sweating, as the head coach guns for his second state title.
see some coaches maybe take it off after halftime, late in the game. Comes off right after the first quarter. I don't think he could bear this tension right now. BCC right within reach, but obviously he wants these guys to dig deep, try to win this one.
DePaul Prep 12, BCC 8. 8 minutes left in the first half. Saints wandering around at half court as DePaul Prep is still in its huddle. Both student sections jumping around. DePaul Prep behind their bench on the left side from our perspective, and the Saints on the right side. So a little foul trouble for Colin Hayes. 2 fouls in the first quarter, but he's back in the ball game as DePaul Prep has possession moving from left to right. They pass to the corner for Chambers. He drives, but he's fouled before the shot. No, it's offensive. So it'll be BCC basketball, and Will Vogel comes into the ball game for TJ Larson. So the Saints going a little bit deeper into their bench than we saw in that Rockridge game. We'll see what kind of an effect that has.
Yeah, switching things up here early, just looking for the right adjustment here on offense, and good chance now for BCC. Trying to get some points on the board.
Chase Fisher dribbles it up, hands off to Cole Serta. Thought about the deep logo three. Instead dribbles between the circles, drives and kicks. Right wing three. Eller floats around the rim, doesn't get it. Rebound falls to the Rams. Kavame out in transition. Now he slows it down a little bit. Left-handed dribble, hip high. Looks for his options. Gets a screen up top from McElroy. Picks it up at the elbow extended right. And dishes to the left wing. Into the hands of Thomas. Now back to Kavame. Slips it on the inside. Chambers tries a layup. That time he made it. No foul. Makes it 14-8 DePaul Prep.
Nice take there from DePaul Prep. Extending this lead.
7 minutes to go in the first half. Eller between the circles. Passes to his left for Serta. Guarded by Thomas. Serta drives to the rack. He's swatted away by McElroy. DePaul Prep in transition. Johnson runs it. Jonas Johnson into the ball game for the first time. DePaul Prep resets up top with P.J. Chambers. Kavame, deep right, dribbles across the State Farm Center logo towards the block eye at half court. Reverse to the left wing, now a pass into the post. McElroy, right side layup, got it. Jalen McElroy scored 4 of the first 7 for DePaul Prep. He's starting to get going again. He's up to 6, and Jason Welsh takes another timeout, with the Rams leading 16-8, 6:28 left in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's just a strong move right there from the 6'7" junior. Looks like BCC got a little piece of the ball. He keeps it in his hands. They're able to finish. He's doing a lot of different things to disrupt not only BCC's offense, but he's scoring on the other side as well.
IHSA 2A state title game. Both teams are going to head home with trophies, but that second place trophy always kind of feels like a consolation prize. You want to walk away with the one that says first on it, and one of these teams will do so. DePaul Prep looking for its first ever state title. Hard to believe they're here very often. They were here in 2019 and 2022, but finished in third place both times, but today they're going to get at least second. Out of the timeout, it's BCC basketball. They move from right to left, trailing 16-8. 6:20 to go. Trey Eller dribbles to the deep right wing and hands off to Cole Serta, the junior star. Dishes back to Eller. Thought about the three at the wing. 3-point stance. Now swings it to the left wing. 3 ball from Fisher. Misses right. Rebound volleyballed around and tipped out off of DePaul Prep. So it stays with the Saints with a chance to respond as they're starting to struggle on offense again. 4 of 14 from the floor.
Yeah, they're looking to get some points on the board, but right now DePaul Prep's defensive pressure has really made an impact.
Eller lobs it in to Cole Serta, who tips it up to himself and brings it down. Steps back, tries a deep 3, and he left it short. Offensive rebound in and out of the hands of Eller. Kept in play from Fisher, but he chucked it into the backcourt. That's an over and back, and Serta slams the basketball in the paint in frustration as DePaul Prep has a chance to make it a double-digit game here with just under 6 minutes left in the half.
Yeah, DePaul Prep right now showing kind of that same thing they did at Teutopolis, holding them to 7 points, or 17 points, should I say, in the game right now. BCC only with 8.
Thomas tries a mid-range elbow jumper, too strong. Rebound to BCC. Colin Hayes with it in the corner. Dribble drive into the paint. draws contact and a whistle. It's a blocking call. That one's going to go on Kavame. And that's Kavame's second. So the starter has 2 fouls for the Rams. In case you're just joining us, Cole Serta, definitely one of the biggest storylines in this ball game, as multiple Power 5 offers. But he's just 1 of 5 from the floor for 2 points. Fisher to inbound from the left side of the basket, lobs it in for Hayes, tracks it down beyond the 3-point line, looks for Serta, left wing, 3, open, in and out. Rebound spit back out to McElroy and the Rams. They run transition. Chambers drives to the bucket. Short range layup, doesn't get it. Stick back goes down from Jonas Johnson. And it is indeed a 10-point game, 5:15 left in the first half. Eller deep right wing, passes to the left for Rye Pertz. Pertz hair's flopping around as he passes to Hayes in the high post, and he dishes it off to Fisher, who swings it to the right for Eller. Into the corner, Pertz, back up top, deep right for Eller. Now Serta, logo 3, he misses right, and he could not buy a bucket right now. Another rebound for McElroy.
Yeah, right now BCC 0 for 9 from 3.
Corner triple falls short from P.J. Chambers of DePaul Prep, and the rebound goes down to Pertz and BCC. Pertz weaves it to the corner for Eller. He drives baseline, pushes off of Walls, and that's an offensive foul. John, that's an easy call, and with 4:30 left in the half, things not looking good for the Saints.
All the momentum right now with DePaul Prep, and really their offense been really strong down low, moving the ball well, but ultimately defense right now kind of taking BCC out of their game.
The Rams slow it down. They can play in a lot of slow games. Thomas between the circles to the left to Walls. Swings it into the paint. Great ball movement. Kamen on the drive. Slips it to the inside. McElroy falls hard as he misses a layup. Gets up and sprints to the other end. Cole Serta, left wing. Catch and shoot 3. Got it. Could have been an and one. Took a little contact. That's Cole Serta's first 3. Makes it 18-11. 4 minutes left in the second quarter.
That's the guy they need to heat up.
Kamen drives on the inside, chucks it back up. Thomas, finger roll layup from the right side, rolls off the rim. Rebound falls to Serta, and he walks it up for the Saints. Can he stay hot? Bounce passes into the corner for Eller. He feeds Serta, baseline jumper, got it. That's 5 in a row for Cole Serta.
Quick turnaround for BCC. Serta starting to feel it. You know, DePaul Prep, they don't want to see that guy heat up.
18-13. Rams lead. They turn it over. Pass goes in and out of the hands of Kamen. Lob pass ahead to Serta in the right corner. Takes one dribble. Reverses to the left wing. Now the left corner. Fisher drives, and he lost it into the hands of Kamen and the Rams. They slow it down with 3:10 left for the quarter. Rob Walls, a slow dribble.
Trying to get a little bit of momentum back right now. BCC, though, storming their way back in this one.
Thomas slices to the inside, dishes to Johnson, mid-range jumper goes down. Jonas Johnson ends the BCC run, makes it 20-13, 2:45 left. Rye Pertz drives inside, off balance, chuck shot. Left it short, but a foul called, and really that's Rye Pertz's game. He had 9 points in the win over Rockridge, all from the free throw line.
He's a player that likes to get inside, draw contact, get to the line. What you're going to need in this game late as well is free throws.
Takes us to immediate timeout. With that immediate timeout, we thank our sponsors on today's broadcast, High-End Hoops. High-End Hoops basketball training, providing Central Illinois with detail-oriented basketball workouts. It's individual training in a group setting. Visit highendhoops.com, H-E-Y-E-N, hoops.com. And the Athlete Factory in Bloomington Normal. Come train with the best athletes in Central Illinois. Visit email info at thefactorybn.com. 2:46 left in the first half. IHSA 2A state title game. DePaul Prep leads Bloomington Central Catholic. 2 private schools going at it. 20-13 in favor of the Rams out of the Chicago area. This is their first game against a team from south of I-80 this year. And that's the beauty of state, right? It brings teams from all across the state together, and you see what kind of the rest of the state has to offer.
Yeah, it is really cool to see. You know, you get some teams that have never matched up with each other, never played teams from their respective conferences, and you crown the best team here at state. These championship games, kind of what you live for. These teams play all season long to get to this spot right now in this game. Who wants it more? DePaul Prep hanging on to a close lead. BCC starting to find their rhythm a little bit, though, as Cole Serta started to get it going.
I gotta give a quick compliment to the live band music. It sounds like a recording, but I think those are all high school kids playing like a rock band. That's really incredible. Almost back to action out of the media timeout. 2:46 to go for the first half. DePaul Prep leads BCC 20-13 to a state title game. BCC ball out of the timeout. Hayes in the post, lost the handle on it, into the hands of DePaul Prep as they streak from left to right. Rob Walls, the 6-foot sophomore, runs the show, passes to Johnson, gets it right back. Now in the right corner, it's Kamen, drives baseline, cut off, back to Walls. He's cut off in the mid-range, pass up top. Thomas, three, nothing but net. Makes it a 10-point game again, 23-13.
Yeah, big three there for DePaul Prep. As BCC starting to get back into this one, they're trying to extend this lead.
Chase Fisher with it deep left for BCC. Bennett Summers in the game. 5'9" junior guard, takes a few dribbles. Barely played a few minutes in that win over Rockridge. Passes up top to Chase Fisher. He's between the circles. One dribble, two dribble. Now a handoff to Serta between the circles. He crosses over a few times. Face guarded by Jonas Johnson, the 6'6" sophomore. Two lanky fellas. Serta crosses over, steps back, tries it three, cans it. Serta pumps his fist in celebration, makes it 23-16. Minute and a half left for the first half. Three from the right wing from Thomas. He responds, it's good. Back to 10, 26-16. Blinken, you'll miss a three.
Yeah, just trading baskets back and forth. The three-point shooting ability on both these sides, really good.
Serta orchestrates the offense for BCC. Hands off to Chase Fisher. They're trying to slow it down now. DePaul Prep fans once again chanting boring, boring, boring. Summers drives baseline, drives and kicks to the corner. Serta, three, in and out. And Jalen McElroy soars in for the rebound. Rams on the run, pass ahead to Johnson, slips it underneath, left-handed layup goes down for Peyton Kamen. Beautiful ball movement, makes it a 12-point game. That's the biggest lead of the day for DePaul Prep. 45 seconds left in the first half. Serta with it for the Saints. Passes to the deep left for Fisher. DePaul Prep really in a box in one. They've got a guy face guarding Cole Serta at all times. Everybody else kind of playing a 1-3 zone, if that makes sense. Unconventional, but that's the respect that Cole Serta needs. A guy that can really go off. 15 seconds left in the first half. Fisher still with it. 10 seconds on the timer now. Fisher and Jason Welsh calling for timeout. Stomps a few times and then gets it. So they'll draw something up with 6 seconds left on the first half clock, and really feels like they need a bucket.
Yeah, you can see Serta was trying to get open, get the ball there, but Maurice Thomas not giving him anything. They really are guarding him close early in that first quarter, double teaming him as well, so they don't want him to get his shot going.
Earlier this week in the media calls, Jason Welsh said, anytime Cole Serta steps across half court, you got to guard him. He's got silly range. Great description for it. But we really haven't seen Serta show off that range yet. He's up to 10 points, 4 of 11, but just 2 of 7 from deep. And you really have to credit the Rams defense for that, because they've been right in his face. It's almost like they're ready to give him a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, even some of those shots that he missed beyond the arc just kind of rolled around the rim, but he's not taking open looks. These are well-contested shots. That just goes to show you his talent. And like you said, that silly range, Larry, can't see it on your screen at home, but we have the high school three-point line and we have the college three-point line. He's shooting well beyond the college three-point line on some of these threes.
Maybe he can hit one. 6 seconds left in the first half. It's DePaul Prep 28, BCC 16, IHSA 2A state title game. It'll be Serta to inbound. We saw this in the semifinal win over Rockridge. He inbounded, got it right back and shot and made a three. Serta looking for options, runs at a time, chucks it to the right wing, gets Hayes. He drives, hands off into the corner. Graham, he tries a three and banks it in at the buzzer. Charlie Graham, not the guy you'd expect, but he beats the first half buzzer, and Bloomington Central Catholic brings it down to within 10. Heading to the locker room, it's 28-19, DePaul Prep Rams in the state title game. And John, I think that feels like a relief if you're the Saints.
You know, maybe not the play they drew up necessarily. Serta inbounded, he couldn't get open. Hayes got it, kicked it over to Graham, and just so happened to bank right in. But you got to think that gives a little bit of momentum going to BCC into this halftime locker.
We'll step aside for a break just for a moment and come back and recap the first half for you here on Clutch Sports Media. At the break, the IHSA 2A state title game, DePaul Prep leads BCC 28-19. Back inside the State Farm Center, Clutch Sports Media's coverage of the IHSA 2A state semifinal, rather state final. Semifinals were Thursday. Glad you're with us as DePaul Prep leads Bloomington Central Catholic 28-19. And John, you look at that first half box score, and I think if you're Bloomington Central Catholic, your reaction is it could have been a lot worse. With DePaul Prep shooting 54% from the floor, BCC only shooting 34% from the floor, including 3 of 13 from 3. You probably like where you're at right now, even though you're down 9.
I was going to say, you look at that box score, you can think, hey, with that shooting percentage, we could be down a lot more. Thanks to Charlie Graham banking in that 3. They're right within reach here. Just going to take a big third quarter for BCC to kind of find their rhythm a little bit. Some of those threes weren't falling, only 3 for 13, kind of a lower percentage that they're used to.
And you look at individual efforts. Maurice Thomas jumps out for DePaul Prep with 9 points on 2 of 3 from 3 and 3 of 6 from the field. But I think the guy that has made the biggest impact on this game is Jalen McElroy, who has 6 points and 5 rebounds, and BCC just has no answer.
Yeah, McElroy's doing a lot for DePaul Prep, getting inside. You know, his defense as well, able to deflect some passes, making it a little tough on Colin Hayes down low for the Saints. So, you know, if he continues to keep playing the way he's playing, you got to like where DePaul Prep's at, as well as Peyton Kamen using his size as well at 6'7", scoring down low.
T-shirt toss now underway inside the State Farm Center. Both cheerleading squads throwing out some T-shirts. And John, I got to say, the neon green IHSA T-shirt, you know, really catches your eye.
Yeah, it does. See a couple fans wearing those. So
looks like Kenny, our videographer, was looking for one, and I don't think he's going to get one. Sitting media row, and it's pretty disqualifying, but no less a little frustrating. 5 minutes left at the halftime break. 28-19 lead for DePaul Prep. Glad you're with us on CSM. And John, maybe outside some of those stats that we mentioned, at the top of the show we talked about rebounding, how it's going to be so key for Bloomington Central Catholic. They're winning the rebounding battle right now, despite really being outsized in this matchup, 12-11.
Yeah, it is a close rebounding battle, and BCC, you know, thanks to Colin Hayes down low, getting him some big boards. Cole Serta, I think that's going to be key in the second half, is continue to win that battle, try to control the size. Right now, their defense has to step up a little bit better. We've seen some backdoor cuts, some threes from DePaul Prep, kind of going back to what they're known for in the postseason.
Under 5 minutes left at the halftime break. Glad you're with us on CSM. A lot of good basketball on here on Saturday. Big Ten tournament, Big 12 tournament, SEC tournament, all the fun stuff. But this, you could argue that this one means the most, right? It all comes down to this. This is everything you dream of. And honestly, this is going to be the last game of a lot of these players' careers, right? A lot of these players don't move on to get to play at the next level, especially in those Big Ten and SEC and Big 12 tournaments. Not every day you get to play on a college court.
Yeah, especially, you know, being a senior. We've seen some teams with a lot of talent like Metamora getting back to state, some underclassmen, guys that are going to graduate, though. This is the last game that you play for if you don't go on to play in college. Kind of the final game you'll ever play on the big stage. So it means a lot to all these teams. You got 4 classes today. 1A was already decided by Waterloo Gulbert Catholic. 2A through 4As. We're going to have 3 different champions, so it's going to be exciting.
Coming up later today on Clutch Sports Media, it's Metamora against Chicago Simeon. You can listen to that one live for free on ESPNPeoria.com and on 101.1 FM if you're in the Peoria area. I don't think the signal reaches to Bloomington, but you can listen to that one if you're in Peoria. Should be a great one. You'll have the call with Jonathan Michael, and Metamora with revenge on the brain after losing on a miracle heave out of the hand of Keyshawn Singleton of Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin in last year's state title game. I'm sure that is burned in their minds as they enter today.
Yeah, Danny Greaves said that in yesterday's press conference during their comeback victory over East St. Louis. He said last season We believed we could win. This year we know we can win. They've certainly showed that all year long. 31 straight wins, number 1 team in the state. They're on a mission. He said, we enjoy being here, but we want to win it all.
It's a great experience either way, but hey, Metamora, they came here last year, went home with 2nd place. What's more to do than take home 1st place this year? Well, Metamora came back from down 10 to beat East St. Louis in the 2nd half. The Saints are going to need to come back from down 9 as they trailed DePaul Prep 28-19 in the state title game. And 2A, what's it going to take?
Yeah, I think it's going to take some key shooting. Obviously, you look at those first half stats. Bloomington Central Catholic, 8 for 23, 34%, 3 for 13 from 3, 23%. They didn't shoot a single free throw either. So, once they start heating up a little bit, like they were in their sectional semifinal game, sectional title, super sectional, kind of go back to the rhythm. Colcerta is starting to heat up a little bit, 10 points to lead BCC, but it's going to take a full team effort.
It is going to take a full team effort, and we've seen more of a team effort than we saw in the win over Rockridge in Thursday's semifinal. Jason Welsh has shown no hesitation today to dig into his bench. Charlie Graham with the buzzer beater going into the locker room. He also dug to TJ Larson pretty quick. He's usually the first guy off the bench, but then outside of that, we've seen Will Vogel, Bennett Summers as well. So he has dug deeper into the bench, and can you imagine the stuff that's going through those guys' heads? They barely play on Thursday, and then here they are in the biggest game of their lives, just thrown into the fire.
Well, it's one of those things, too. You don't know who's going to go into foul trouble. You get the call. You might not think, hey, I'm not going to play in this game. You come in off the bench. You got to be ready. It's going to take everybody on that bench kind of be on their toes. You never know when you have to go into that bench. So everyone helping contribute. But DePaul Prep, they got to like where they're at. But a little bit of momentum back with the Saints after hitting that 3 right at the buzzer. We'll see what both these teams have in store in the 3rd quarter.
Under a minute left at the halftime break. DePaul Prep leads BCC 28-19. We're 16 minutes of regulation away from awarding a state champion. BCC going for their 2nd state title. They won in 2014. DePaul Prep playing for its 1st. John, one key to the game for both teams in the 2nd half.
Yeah, I think key is going to be for BCC really disrupt the paint down low. They're getting inside, I think, for DePaul Prep. Continue to face guard Serta, continue to watch the perimeter. Don't let BCC heat up from 3.
Both teams in their huddles. DePaul Prep with a full team huddle, arms around each other in their home white uniforms on the left side bench. BCC ready to bust out of their huddle. Looks like a coach is drawing up some sort of play. And those jitters are right back on. Buzzer rings and we are set for basketball. It'll be BCC basketball to start the 2nd half as they move from left to right. Saints in their traveling navy blue uniforms, gold numbers, gold lettering, and gold trim. DePaul Prep the home team on the scoreboard by virtue of being the top team on the bracket. Literally the top team, not in terms of seeds, but just they came from the top side. Yeah. So that's how they decide the home team and away team. And the Saints inbound, and we are back underway, 2nd half, to decide a state title right now. Trey Eller at the deep right wing for the Saints. Passes left, Cole Serta. Takes a few dribbles and now hands off to Chase Fisher. Looks for the inside. Bounce pass to the high post for Hayes. He's one-on-one. Takes a power dribble. Outlet pass. Fisher, 3. Left it short. Rebound tipped around right into the hands of Jalen McElroy. That's his 6th rebound. He's got 6 and 6. Kavame pushes the pace and now slows it down to run the Rams offense. They shot 54% in the 1st half. Passes to the left. Came in. Passes left again to Thomas, and he hands right back off to Kavame. Now at the left wing, it's Kamen. Right wing, Kavame. To the inside, McElroy gets a touch. Leaves his layup short. Offensive rebound tipped out to P.J. Chambers. Takes a crossover and passes to the right to Kavame. He looks to swing it around. Left-handed dribble. Drives towards the three-point line. Has a screen. Crosses over. Defensive switches. Now swings it to the baseline. Baseline drive. A foul on a layup attempt from P.J. Chambers will send him to the line. Really slow, methodical offensive possession there for DePaul Prep, and they get free throws out of it.
Yeah, very patient in their half-court set right there. Burn almost a minute off the clock. They just were looking for the right shot. It pays off. Draw contact, get to the line. Chance for two.
Chambers takes a big, deep breath, takes 2 dribbles, left-handed free throw up and good. 6:46 left in the second half. DePaul Prep now with a 10-point lead, 29-19 in the state title game. Chambers averages 10.5, scored 7 points in the semifinal win over Teutopolis on Thursday. Bends at the knees, shoots the second, and makes the second. Makes it 30-19, 11-point deficit for BCC. They move from left to right, and Serta passes across the timeline to Eller. He looks for options and passes to his right to Rye Pertz. He picks up his dribble between the circles. He's hounded and turns it over into the hands of Thomas. He spins, drives to the left block, slips by Serta, leaves his layup short. Rebound picked up by McElroy, and it's tipped out off of DePaul Prep.
It's going back with BCC. Nice defensive effort there, able to tip the ball away from Chambers and off McElroy's leg.
Rye Pertz races ahead for the Saints, and he sets up the offense. Looks at that zone defense. Pertz drives, has a mismatch. He's tied up with the big fella McElroy, and that's a jump ball. Tom Kleinschmidt so frustrated. Head coach for DePaul pointing and shouting and pumping his fist on the DePaul sideline. But not much to be upset about there. They get the basketball back, moving from right to left, leading by 11. 6 minutes to play in the third quarter. Kamen, left wing, spins to the inside, spins into the paint, left-handed layup, good. Nasty move from Peyton Kamen, makes it 32-19. Pivotal possession for BCC.
They needed that basket. Great move there from Kamen to extend this lead.
Trey Eller was looking for Hayes in the paint. He's clobbered. That's a foul. That's on P.J. Chambers, his first, team's first. Saints need to score here. You can't let this game get away from you any further than it has already. Inbounds pass from Serta. Gets it right back in the deep post. Now in the deep right wing. Chucks it up top. Chase Fisher thought about the three. Charges into the paint. He picks up his dribble. Out to Pertz. Thought about the three. Chucks it into the paint. And he traveled. So Pertz got cut off at the high elbow, and they say he traveled before he tried to pass it off. So it's DePaul Prep basketball again. They lead 32-19, 5:25 left in the third. And a bucket here could really take the wind out of BCC's sails.
Yeah, Bloomington Central Catholic still without a basket here in this third quarter, 3 minutes in.
Thomas drives and draws a blocking foul. Rather knows Thomas had passed into the paint. P.J. Chambers was the one that drove and drew the whistle. Fouls on Serta, his first. Rye Pertz checks out. T.J. Larson checks in. And Serta's disputing the call that the foul was on him. He's pointing that, hey, no, I was up by the block guy. Serta wasn't anywhere near the sideline, and now the officials, are they going to reverse it?
I think they did.
I don't know. Either way, inbounds pass into the corner. Chambers open three, didn't get it. Long rebound hauled in by Kavame in an offensive reset. Kavame corner three, he buries it. Makai Kavame makes it 35-19. Desperation time for the Saints. 5 minutes left in the third. Larson, college three, misses right and short. Rebound pulled in from McElroy, and that's a foul on the loose ball on BCC, and now it's really getting away from them.
And if they didn't reverse that last call for Cole Serta, that's 4 now on Hayes, if I'm not mistaken. But
that is 4 on Hayes. Yeah. He heads to the bench. So now Serta is really the only big man out there for BCC. Charlie Graham, who hit the buzzer beater before the end of the first half, checks in. DePaul Prep nearly turns it over. Bad pass towards the baseline for Thomas, and a timeout taken by Tom Kleinschmidt. So the Rams burn a break with 4:38 left in the third quarter. Want to take this timeout to thank our sponsors, High End Hoops and Bloomington Normal. High-end hoops basketball training, providing Central Illinois with detail-oriented basketball workouts, individual training, and a group setting. Visit highendhoops.com. Also brought to you by the Athlete Factory. Come train with the best athletes in Central Illinois. Email info@thefactorybn.com. All athletes, any sport, info@thefactorybn.com. John, I gotta say, it's not often you find yourself in this position in the third quarter, especially if you're a team that makes it to the state finals, but Bloomington Central Catholic trailing 35-19, gotta do something out of this timeout. You need a response and probably even a run.
Yeah, you don't want too much time to slip away. You gotta use the 4:38 left in this third quarter to really mount your comeback. You don't want to be down double digits into the fourth quarter against a team as talented as DePaul Prep. It's going to take a big effort here from BCC. They got to dig deep. Also, Colin Hayes on the bench with those 4 fouls. Charlie Graham back in.
Out of the timeout, Rams basketball, scoring on the left side basket. Inbounds pass from Chambers, goes to Kavame. He passes to the right for Thomas. He's trapped, passes out of the trap. It's Kamen. He's trapped in the corner. Back to Thomas. Back to Kavame. Rather, no, that's a baseline jumper from Kamen. Misses. Offensive rebound. Pass to the corner for Chambers. He thought about the three, but instead he resets. Weaves in and out of traffic. Hits Kavame with the pass. He swings it to the right wing. Three from Thomas. Left short. Rebound goes to Larson and the Saints. Chance for a response as they trail 35-19. Serta tried to step back, didn't get enough room for a three, and slips it off to Larson. Bounce pass at short range to Fisher. He's in the right corner, dribbling around, looking for space, and hands it off back to Larson. Larson picks up his dribble and has the ball knocked out of his hands. It's a foul. Who's it going to be on? BCC or DePaul, and it's going to be on BCC.
Into that foul trouble.
Not ideal. And that takes us to another break. This is the media timeout. If you're watching on television, they probably just cut to a commercial, but we stay right with you here on ClutchSportsIL.com. Glad you're with us. And with 3:50 left in the third quarter, it's DePaul Prep 35, BCC 19. And I don't know, John, coming into this matchup, we were talking off the air. We knew it was going to be an uphill battle for Bloomington Central Catholic, just being that DePaul Prep has so much size, and BCC has Cole Serta at 6'5". They've got Colin Hayes at 6'6", but they don't have guys at 6'8" or 6'7", and really nobody to match up with Jalen McElroy. And I think that's shown with how much focus they've had to put on the paint. It's really allowed the Rams to spread the floor, and they've taken advantage.
Yeah, we saw that in that opening play with DePaul Prep. We talk about their size. Jalen McElroy sticks out at 6'7". He's a forward, but he's got that speed like a guard. They got 6 or 7 guys on this roster that can score it. So it's really made things difficult on BCC, especially on the defensive end. Kind of having their way down low right now, the Rams are.
It is the largest lead of the day for DePaul Prep. And looking into the stands off to our right, I believe there's a Bloomington Central Catholic fan who's got his face covered in his hands. He looks more nervous than the athletes.
Yeah.
And that's how much people care about games like this, right? It's not just the players and the coaches, it's also the community around the school that makes these games so special.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, these players, they work to get to that moment. We talked about your seniors, you know, guys that won't be returning next year. This is their one chance. So they're going to have to dig deep, try to get back into this game. But right now, if you're Tom Kleinschmidt and DePaul Prep, you got to like the lead that you have late in this game.
With 3:50 left, it's DePaul Prep 35, Bloomington Central Catholic 19. The Rams looking for their first state title. P.J. Chambers inbounds out of the timeout to Makai Kavame. He takes a slow walk across the timeline. He's picked up as soon as he crosses the timeline, and a turnover forced. Ball tipped around, and a foul is called. I think they're going to get Trey Eller for that. We'll see. No, that's on Kavame as he battled to get that basketball back. Great defense from Trey Eller.
Colin Hayes back into the game. He's got to play really carefully with those fouls.
Serta walks it up, points to the floor for a screen. Will Vogel out there off the deep bench for the Saints. Serta, double team, deep left. He's in trouble, slips it inside the arc. Hayes slips it underneath to Eller. Wide open layup goes. Makes it 35-21, 3:20 left in the third. Great ball movement there.
A nice pass there from Hayes. Eller able to slip to the basket. Nobody there. Lays it right in.
McElroy on the baseline, big fella for DePaul. Now to the corner, Chambers drives and kicks. Back up top, Maurice Thomas. Bounce pass to Kavame. Takes a few dribbles and hits Thomas right back. Now back to Kavame. He penetrates the zone. Bounce pass to guess who? Thomas. Back to Kavame. They're playing catch in the backcourt. And no rush here. Kavame back to Thomas. Drives inside the arc. Kicks to the corner. Chambers, three. Got it.
Big shot there from the junior. Chambers able to knock it down as they continue to extend this lead.
Serta at the top of the arc for BCC as they trail 38-21. Three from the left wing from Fisher. Doesn't go. Rebound falls to McElroy. Rams streak ahead. Thomas drives to the basket. Layup too strong. Rebound tipped around and out off of Peyton Kamen. Rather, no. That's a foul on P.J. Chambers. That's Chambers' second, team's third. And John, that long possession finishing with a three for DePaul almost feels like a 4-point basket if you're Bloomington Central Catholic. It's a gut punch to have them just hold the ball and then score.
Yep, and it takes the time away from you. It's harder to catch up. Now they only got 2 minutes to work with in this third quarter.
Serta trapped in the zone defense. Bounce pass inside the arc. Hayes passes back up top. Three ball from Eller falls short. Good box out from P.J. Chambers and DePaul Prep. It's Chambers that walks it up. He's picked up by Serta. Slips it across the timeline. Thomas on the drive. Slips it to McElroy, and he slams it home through traffic. Makes it 40-21. Danger zone for the Saints. Serta contested three from the right wing. He said he got fouled, but the officials didn't. Pass ahead. Kavame drives right back to the rack, and he's fouled. Serta hustles to the official as if to say, hey, man, you missed one there. And the official gives him a pat on the back. And Serta really worked up for good reason with 90 seconds left in the third quarter. Saints are on the ropes. The DePaul Prep student section already waving by to Colin Hayes. That's his fifth foul. He's fouled out of the game, John. And that could almost be a dagger in and of itself.
That's one of your key rebounders, key post guys. Checks out of the game with 1:32 left in the third. Not going to play the rest of the game. That's a big piece you're missing in this fourth quarter coming up.
Kavame to the free throw line. Makes his first. And his second. Rattles in and out. Rebound goes down to Chase Fisher. DePaul Prep didn't send any rebounders in. Serta gets across half court, tries a logo three, and he makes it from the deep right wing at the State Farm Center logo. Could be a spark. Third up, Serta up to 13 points, and it's 41-24. About a minute left in the third quarter. Thomas pushes the pace for DePaul Prep, and he's fouled underneath the basket. It's on the floor, no shot, but DePaul Prep getting closer to the bonus. Kavame checks out, and Rob Walls, the sophomore guard, comes in. It is not a shooting foul, and I don't think the Rams realized that. They huddled up at half court, and then they said, oh, we got to inbound the ball. Inbound pass goes to Chambers, and he bounce passes up to Thomas. He takes his time, dribbles around a little bit, swings it to the right for Walls. Now exactly a minute left in the third quarter. 41-24 lead for DePaul Prep. Chambers into the paint, Euro steps, gets a shot up, he's fouled. He'll go to the line. Looks like Rob Walls got whacked in the mouth, covering his lip and a little bit of pain.
Yeah, definitely been a physical game. We've seen that, a lot of fouls. DePaul Prep doing a good job of milking the clock. They're now able to get to the line in under a minute.
First free throw from Chambers, too strong. BCC really having to dig deep with Colin Hayes, the 6'6" center, fouled out. Second free throw from Chambers, drained. 42-24. Clock at 55 seconds, melting away. Serta, another deep three from the right wing. He airballed it. Trey Eller thought about jumping out of bounds to try and save it, and he knew he couldn't. So he lets it bounce out of bounds and goes right back to DePaul Prep, and you can see the deflation on the Saints bench. DePaul Prep breaks the press. Chambers across the timeline, passes to the right for Walls. Passes behind him to Chambers, stands right at the half-court line. Right back to Thomas, deep left, slips it to the inside. Great ball movement. Now it's Chambers on the right wing. Drives inside, underhanded pass to Jonas Johnson at the free throw line. Out to the wing, Thomas, three, no. Rebound picked up by Serta right at the rim. Serta takes it across the timeline. The junior star is 13 points and about 20 D1 offers. He's fouled at the left wing with 14 seconds left in the third quarter. And John, I don't know what you can do if you're Bloomington Central Catholic, considering there's no shot clock in this game. 8 minutes and 14 seconds left, counting the fourth quarter time, but DePaul Prep just spends so much time. I don't know if you can come back.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Got to get shots to fall first.
Corner three, in and out from Chase Fisher. Had a great look, had a great shot. Rebound to DePaul Prep. Walls streaks up the left side. Clock at 3, clock at 2. Walls, three from the wing. Just missed it. Just a little short, and that takes us to our quarter break with DePaul Prep leading Bloomington Central Catholic 42-24. The Rams are 8 minutes away from their first ever state title.
It's, that early momentum. We talked about this in the game. They built that big lead up by halftime. They started to pull away here in the third quarter. Now as we enter the fourth, they have a comfortable lead. Colin Hayes fouled out of this game. Cole Serta kind of your main threat, but they're doing a good job guarding them. So it's going to take a real big effort from BCC to kind of get close in this game.
I want to thank our sponsors for making today's coverage possible. High End Hoops Basketball Training, providing Central Illinois with detail-oriented basketball workouts, individual training in a group setting. HeyEnHoops.com, H-E-Y-E-N Hoops.com. And by the Athlete Factory. Come train with the best athletes in Central Illinois. Email info@thefactorybn.com for some info. That's info@thefactorybn.com. Also want to remind you that we'll have coverage of the IHSA 3A state title game. Metamora Redbirds against the Simeon Wolverines. It's a rematch of last year's 3A state semifinal in which Metamora knocked off Simeon and really put Illinois and the rest of the nation on notice that they were here and they were a threat, and we've seen that continue into this year. It could be a classic.
Yeah, and really great storyline to those two teams as well. Obviously, Metamora, #1 team in the state, 31-game winning streak. They were at state last year. They lost on a heartbreaking buzzer beater from Singleton, from SHG. They returned this year, chance to try to win their first state title, but for the opposing side, Chicago Simeon, Robert Smith in his final season with the Wolverines, is either going to go home a winner or a loser trying to capture his 7th state championship.
Back to the 2A state championship here. DePaul Prep leads Bloomington Central Catholic 42-24, and you look at the Bloomington Central Catholic bench, and it's not even the players' faces that tell the story for me, Joko. It's the assistant coaches. One kind of rubbing his eyes, covering his face in his hands, another with just a grim expression on his face, and another one scratching his head, literally. It kind of sums it up.
Yeah, it does. And, you don't want to count yourself out of a game until the final buzzer, but they could feel it a little bit. They've been trailing this entire game. DePaul Prep has the momentum. They're without Colin Hayes. You start to get that feeling you might be going home with second place.
And then you look on the other side of the court with DePaul Prep and how excited they are. Student section jumping up and down, and I will say they're far from elated in the DePaul Prep huddle. They're focused, knowing that this lead could slip away, but in all likelihood, I think that win probability, if it was calculated in a game like this, is pretty darn high.
Yeah, especially the way DePaul Prep's played.
BCC basketball heading into the fourth quarter. They trail 42-24. Right wing. It's Will Vogel. He drives, reverses to the left wing. Pertz in the corner. Dribbles into the paint. Picks up his dribble. Swims through. Rattles a layup in. Nice bucket from Ry Pertz. His first field goal of the state tournament after hitting 9 free throws in the win over Rockridge last game. Kavame between the circles. Slips it into the paint. Back out. Thomas drives baseline. Launches a layup, and he's fouled on the shot. He'll go to the free throw line. 42-26 DePaul Prep.
Yeah, it's going to take shots like that from Pertz off the glass. Little baskets here and there, but now DePaul Prep back at the line. Chance to extend.
First free throw up and good for Maurice Thomas. Thomas, out of everybody on this DePaul Prep team, really deserves a lot of credit for what he was able to do in the regular season to propel this team to success with arguably their 2 best players, Peyton Kamen and Jalen McElroy, out for most of the year with injury. Makes the second, and it's 44-26, 7:10 to go. Serta on the dribble, has it poked away, and Serta with a hard foul on Maurice Thomas, almost reaching over the shoulder. That looked like more of a wrestling move than a basketball move there. I'm surprised that maybe they didn't have a conversation about that one, maybe looking at an intentional or flagrant foul, but with 7:09 left, Maurice Thomas right back to the stripe as BCC has 19 fouls.
Yeah, and you put BCC in the situation where they have to kind of start fouling you, get you to the line.
Thomas misses the first bonus free throw. Serta walks it up, tries a deep 3, and left it just short. He almost had another logo 3. And a travel called on P.J. Chambers after the rebound. He shuffled his feet, so BCC gets it back. And if you're going to come back in this game, it needs to start right here. DePaul Prep takes a timeout with 6:58 left in the fourth, leading 44-26.
Yeah, it's going to take a big effort. We've seen Serta launch some deep threes, just trying to find something to get his team back into this game. Right now, they're going to get the ball out of the timeout, but it's going to take a massive comeback for them to get close within reach.
I want to thank our sponsors for making today's coverage possible. Today's coverage brought to you by the Athlete Factory in Bloomington Normal. Come train with the best athletes in Central Illinois. Email info@thefactorybn.com. Also brought to you by High-End Hoops. High-End Hoops basketball training, providing Central Illinois with detail-oriented basketball workouts, individual training, and a group setting. Visit highendhoops.com, H-E-Y-E-N hoops.com. Saints inbound the basketball, moving from left to right, trailing 44-26 in the state title game. Final game of the year for both these teams. One's going to go home a little bit happier than the other. Ry Pertz on the dribble, lost the dribble, into the hands of McElroy. Passes ahead, Thomas, Euro steps, charges into the paint. Shot up, missed it, but he draws a whistle, and he'll go to the line to shoot 2.
Good effort there from Charlie Graham. Tried to set his feet, take the charge, but ball's in favor of DePaul Prep. Another chance back at the line here for Thomas.
Thomas making a lot of trips to the free throw line these last few minutes, makes the first. He's now 4 of 6 at the line on the day. In case you're just joining us, this was a closely contested game for a while. In that first quarter, offense was hard to come by, but DePaul Prep has led this one since the first quarter with 7 minutes and 19 seconds left. They have not trailed. They scored the first bucket of the game, and they've led since. After the ball is tipped out of bounds, BCC inbounds to Cole Serta. He drives into the paint, slides like a baseball player. He slipped on some sweat, and that'll be a foul on Jonas Johnson. So another inbounds pass coming up. It'll be Serta. And no, it won't. BCC switches it up. It'll be Eller to trigger it in. Eller puts things in motion from the right side of the basket, slips it underneath, layup try, easy, wide open for Charlie Graham. Nice game from Charlie Graham off the bench. Hit that buzzer beater at the end of the first half. He's now got 5 points. Underneath on the other end, McElroy underneath at a wide open dunk, but all of a sudden he was blocked from behind. It's a foul called, so McElroy going to the free throw line. Foul on Trey Eller, his 3rd foul, but great job by Eller to recover and stuff that dunk.
Yeah, this 6'3" sophomore really got up for that one, blocking the 6'7" McElroy. Got a little piece of hand though, gets to the line.
McElroy's first is up and good. Big fella can shoot it a little bit, 6'7" junior forward. Shoots the second, and rattles in and out. Rebound falls to BCC, it's 47-28. DePaul Prep, 6:15 to go in the 4th quarter. Corner 3 drained from Trey Eller. And a timeout taken by BCC, trailing 47-31. It's a full timeout, and for Jason Welsh, kind of what's the message here?
Yeah, you're starting to string some baskets together, some defensive plays. They're going to have to go earn theirs at the line. BCC's putting them there, but not out of this game. That's the thing. 6 minutes left. It's going to take a big comeback like we said, but still time left.
16-point deficit for the Saints, but boy, do they need something. And it probably starts with the threes, John. You're going to need to get hot. We've seen that once you start making threes in this arena and you adapt, they keep on going in.
Yeah.
And if the Saints can rip down a few more, then who knows?
I think once you see that first one fall, it gives you some confidence. You continue to shoot. We know if BCC gets hot from 3, they can quickly get right back into this game. So they're going to have to try to mount some of those shots together. They are coming around screens, getting some good looks. So it's going to take a big effort from all 5 guys in this rotation.
In case you're just joining us, BCC is trailed in this game the whole way. IHSA 2A state final. DePaul Prep and BCC duking it out for that first place trophy. BCC now without one of its best players, their only double-digit scorer outside of Cole Serta. Colin Hayes on the bench with 5 fouls. Out of the timeout, DePaul Prep inbounds, leading 47-31, 6:05 left. DePaul Prep breaks the press. PJ Chambers up the right side, passes to the left side to Thomas. Now back out Kavame. He slows it down and swings it to Chambers. He spins by the defense from Fisher, picks up his dribble in the corner. He's in a little bit of trouble. And Tom Kleinschmidt, former NBA player and current DePaul Prep coach, takes a timeout. I guess you can't take them home with you. Might as well use them. DePaul with 2 timeouts left, and the Saints with 1 timeout left with 5:52 left.
Timeout, chance to kind of get your offense set. Right now, DePaul Prep can burn some clock, only 5:52 left in this game, so they can run that patient possession in the half court.
Tell you what, John, both these teams, they come into the state title game hungry to win. I'm getting hungry. This game, a bit of an awkward time, right? 2:30 in the afternoon, you come in. It was scheduled for 12:45. Maybe you didn't eat lunch beforehand. I'm ready for a snack. I can only imagine what both these teams are feeling right now. Takes a lot of energy out of you. Out of the timeout, DePaul Prep basketball. They inbound from underneath the basket, out to Maurice Thomas. He dribbles in between the circles, crosses over once, crosses over twice, and hits PJ Chambers deep left. He swings it to Kavame, who hits Thomas with a chest pass, dribbles over the Block Eye logo to the left wing, hands off at short range to Chambers. Dribbles hip high, passes back to Kavame, trap defense coming for BCC. Bounce pass around it, and a foul at the top of the arc as Thomas was trying to slip away from Will Vogel. Foul is on Vogel, and that's Vogel's first. So Thomas going to the free throw line, shooting the bonus free throws, and he makes the first. 5:25 left. DePaul Prep 48, Bloomington Central Catholic 31.
Yeah, so DePaul Prep can continue to get to the line here, try to just put this one on ice. They continue to knock down their free throws.
Free throw goes down again for Maurice Thomas, and You said it, John. Free throw shooting so important in these big games. Pressure is turned up a little bit. And Bloomington Central Catholic has not been to the free throw line once today, according to the live stats. DePaul Prep is 11 of 16. Layup goes down for Bloomington Central Catholic, and on the other end, BCC fouls. So it's 49-33, 5:04 left. No, it's the DePaul Prep foul, so BCC gets the basketball back, and they've got a chance to cut into that lead a little bit more. 5 minutes left. Serta crosses over at half court. Looks at a screen from Eller. Passes it up. Lost the dribble at the right wing. It's tipped away from Thomas. Runs the fast break. Right-handed layup from the left side. Goes down. That's 51-33. Things getting worse for BCC. Charlie Graham in the game. Passes to the right wing for Larson. He tries a three. Left it short. Rebound picked up by the Rams, and Kavame streaks up the right side. Now down the heart of the court, underhanded pass to McElroy, and he's fouled as he tried to pass it out to the wing.
I think they can feel it now, Larry. DePaul Prep have control of this game.
It was definitely a different feel in the first half as the first free throw goes down for Jalen McElroy. He'll get a second here in a moment, but it felt like BCC was very much in it, even though they trailed it by 9 at the half. But now, honestly, it doesn't feel like they're in it at all. McElroy misses the second free throw. It's 52-33. Launched three from Serta. Nice move as he slipped by Jalen McElroy, drains the three. And now Serta is up to 18 points as BCC burns another timeout.
Yeah, big three there from Serta. It's going to take a lot of those to continue to get back into this one, but starting to run out of time. Only 4:24 left in this game. Like we said, DePaul Prep, once they get the ball in their hands, they can continue to eat away at that clock.
And John, here's an interesting question, and one that I've thought about myself a little bit. You know, if you're Bloomington Central Catholic at this point in the game, 52-36, 4:24 left, do you go into the huddle if you're Jason Welch and say, hey, we provided a great effort, we had a great run, let's go out there and have some fun? Or do you say, keep fighting tooth and nail, and who knows what can happen?
I probably think he's saying, you know, keep fighting, foot on the gas. I think it's going to take some key things here, though. The offense got to hit your shots. Maybe start fouling a little early. Don't let DePaul Prep stall. Force them, put the pressure on them to make their free throws. So we'll see how they execute.
Saints 5 on the floor is Serta, Fisher, Kurtz, Bennett Summers, Ryan Russell. It's an unconventional 5 for the Saints. The only big guy out there is Serta, and he plays guard as Colin Hayes is fouled out of this game. Fouled out long ago. Ball Prep inbounds it into full court pressure into the hands of Kamen, and he breaks the pressure. Outlet pass to Chambers, who gets it across the timeline and then hands off to McElroy within the arc, and he's fouled. So maybe the strategy here for BCC is just foul guys who might not be high percentage free throw shooters and see what happens. So McElroy is going to the free throw line. He's 2 of 4 at the stripe tonight, and he misses the first.
So you put the pressure on them, force them to make their free throws. Right now, kind of goes away for BCC, doesn't make it.
Trey Eller and Charlie Graham check back in. We'll see if it works. Second free throw, McElroy got it. Makes it 53-36, 4:15 to go in the fourth. Serta trots it up, dribbles with the left hand, pushes off, great space for a three, rims in and out. Rebound brought down by Jonas Johnson. Outlet pass to Chambers. Tried to get fouled at half court by Serta and didn't. And pass to the right wing, Kavame, and he is fouled. And that time it's doled out by Fisher. That takes us to a media timeout. 53-36. DePaul Prep feels like they're 4 minutes away from bringing home that state trophy for the first time ever.
Yeah, It does, and I think with this lead now they can feel it, Larry. Just under 4 minutes to go, but they've really played a solid game today, both sides offensively and defensively, and had a lot of different guys step up.
So now I ask you the same question. Does that strategy change?
Maybe a little bit now. Maybe a chance for some guys coming off the bench, get to play in a state championship game. You don't want to know you're out of a game, but at this point, all you can do is foul, and have to almost hit 90% of your shots on the other end. So maybe I'd say get some other guys in, let them get the experience.
Well, I guess crazier things have happened. DePaul Prep 53, Bloomington Central Catholic 36. At the under 4 timeout and the fourth quarter, there are immediate timeouts here in the state title game, and maybe that's something that maybe didn't benefit Bloomington Central Catholic in this game, and I think you really got to credit DePaul Prep. They have used their timeouts wisely in this matchup, considering that whenever BCC would string together maybe 2 straight baskets, Tom Kleinschmidt wasn't going to take any chances. He took a timeout, and the momentum flipped right back.
It did, and these timeouts are good. You use them, kind of get your team set, throw a game plan out there and execute it, but DePaul Prep in a really good spot chasing that first state championship. All I got to do is hold on.
Saints still with some of their first stringers out there. Graham is out there with Trey Eller, Rye Pertz, Chase Fisher, and of course Cole Serta. And Makai Kavame goes to the free throw line to shoot 2 bonus free throws. With 3 minutes and 59 seconds left, Kavame misses the first, very short. 53-36 ball game in favor of DePaul Prep. Kavame bends at the knees, takes the dribble. Second free throw, missed it short again. Rebound goes to Fisher. Saints on the run. Pertz takes it across the block guy at half court. Charges inside the paint, right block. Chucks up a layup try, misses off the top corner of the backboard. It's a tough shot over a double team. Rebound goes to DePaul. Thomas takes it across half court. And a foul doled out. Kavame goes right back to the free throw line. 3:37 left, and you could argue that fouling really is BCC's last chance. They got to get that ball out of DePaul Prep's hands, and that is one of the only ways to do it because they're so good at just kind of sitting in that half-court set.
Yeah, they can run the clock down, and another missed free throw. That's 3 straight there from Kavame. So, you got to make your shots on the other end. If you're BCC, they're giving you a little window of hope.
Kavame's second free throw, too strong again. He's missed 4 straight. Can the Saints take advantage? Serta walks it up, dribbles with the right hand, crosses over. He lost the dribble, but it squirts to Fisher. He kicks around his own dribble. He lost it, and he's fouled on the floor. They're going to get McElroy on that one as he covers his face as he undercut Chase Fisher. Foul call, not much you can do there if you're McElroy. That's McElroy's first. He's played a very strong game without fouling. Now Charlie Graham checks out. And Ryan Russell, 6'1 senior guard, checks in. Bennett Summers, a 5'9 junior guard, comes into the game. And Trey Eller checks out as Fisher will go to the line. 53-36 game, 3:26 left. And I don't know, if you're the Saints and maybe you hit a 3 a few possessions ago, 3 on this possession as first free throw is left short, it feels like a different game, but they just have not capitalized on the opportunities as the rebound goes to Kamen and he's fouled.
I mean, it kind of cancels itself out when you send them to the line. They're missing their free throws, but you come down to the other and it's a, no basket. So you can't get points out of those opportunities. The lead kind of sits an advantage for DePaul.
Came in at the free throw line, and the 6'8 junior makes the first. Nothing but nylon. Safe to say this is not the guy you want to send to the free throw line. Trey Eller and Charlie Graham check back into the game. Was it just me, or did the PA announcer, it sounded like he said Charlie Brown?
It did, actually.
Maybe I'm just hearing things. Second free throw goes down for Kamen. And that makes it 55-36, 3:20 left. Serta, 2 steps in front of half court, launches a 3, goes in and out. And Kavame is fouled. That is the guy you want to send to the free throw line. Almost no ticks come off the clock. And so Kavame will have a chance to kind of make good on those 4 straight misses here.
I will say with Serta as well, Larry, these are some of the deepest threes we've seen all weekend. Pulled up right from the S on the State Farm Center logo.
First free throw from Kavame. He got it. Nothing but net. Redemption. Feels sweet.
Miss 4, make 1 when it matters.
Can he make the second? You bet. Basketball's a funny game sometimes. You miss 4 straight, then you make 2 straight. Saints push it ahead to Eller. Turns out of the paint, passes up top. Fisher, he launches a 3. He left it short. Rebound falls to Pertz. He draws to the corner. Graham tries a 3. He misses left. Rebound into the hands of Kamen, and he is not fouled. Under 3 minutes left now, and it looks like they're going to let DePaul Prep maybe dribble this one out. We'll see. 2:50 left. 57-36, Rams. Crossover from Thomas, and the Saints do back off. They're not going to foul. And I think that's the right call at this point.
Yep, down big, and a chance for DePaul Prep now to kind of just run this one out.
Thomas showing off his bag of jukes and fakes, and Cole Serta does foul him. So Thomas will go to the free throw line. Maybe we spoke too soon. And rather, that's the 5th on Eller. They're not going to get Serta for that one. So Eller's day is done. The 6'3 sophomore forward will certainly be back. Been a strong part of this year's team, and he fouls out and sits down in frustration on the bench as Maurice Thomas makes his first free throw. Now the Saints are digging into the deep bench. Rem Lee, the 6'1 senior, gets to come into the state title game. Charlie Graham, the 6'2 junior, checks out.
Yeah, to your point, Larry, obviously, losing key pieces like Chase Fisher and Ry Pertz, but Cole Serta, a junior, Colin Hayes, a junior, Trey Eller, a sophomore. They'll have a good team years to come.
Pertz races to the bucket, extends his arm, lays it up and in. Makes it 59-38 with 2:17 left, and Serta doles out another foul. Thomas going back to the free throw line. Second foul on Serta. Want to remind you of our coverage coming up of the IHSA 3A state title game at 5:30 between Metamora and Chicago Simeon. Jonathan Michael, John Camosa will call it for you on 101.1 ESPN Peoria, 101.1 on the FM dial, ESPN Peoria in your browser search bar. Cole Serta checks out of the ball game for Bloomington Central Catholic. An unceremonious end to an incredible season for the junior. Picked up offer after offer after offer after a dominant year. Averaged 26.5 points per game. Checks out here in a state title loss. DePaul Prep pushes the pace after a BCC miss. Thomas across the timeline, weaves in and out of traffic. Under 2 minutes left at 61-38. The Rams, a truly dominant showing in the state finals this week. Kamen fouled. He'll go to the free throw line. Thomas gives high fives to his teammates waiting at the scorer's table. A whole bunch of them ready to check in. Thomas hugs Makai Kavame, and that hug tells you they can feel it. Hey, we did it. They are 1 minute and 53 seconds away from becoming the first ever state champions in DePaul Prep history. And you can see the smile on Maurice Thomas's face. Lighting up the court at State Farm Center, he checks out to a standing ovation, along with Jaden McElroy and Makai Kavame. What an effort from them. Peyton Kamen. Second free throw good. He checks out. Dane Barkley into the game. And Kamen gets his own standing ovation.
I can feel it now. Just under 2 minutes. They really played a good game today.
a complete and total effort. Defensively, offensively, hanging 63 on BCC, a very strong team. Rem Lee tries a three. He's stuffed by Dane Barkley. In transition, Stewart, bounce pass underneath, layup up and good from Jack Hosty. Hosty scores in the state title game. What a moment for the senior. Makes it 35-38. 1:20 left. Saints move it around the arc. Larson between the circles. Hands off to Russell. Now at the left wing, Bennett Summers takes a few dribbles. Long blonde hair flows as he dribbles into the paint. Back up top, Rem Lee. At the left wing, a few dribbles from Vogel. Back to Lee. He slices his way, kicks to the corner. Open three from Russell, dials it in and down. Substitution timeout is at 65-41. TJ Larson and Bennett Summers check out. Sophomore and a junior, they'll be back next year with Cole Serta. Certainly a strong group coming back for BCC.
Chase Fisher and Rye Pertz back in. They're seniors, so chance to just play these last 47 seconds. Final high school game.
Miles Stewart steps on the sideline, so the Saints get it back. 47 seconds left. All DePaul Prep in the second half of this one. They led by 9 at the break. They lead 65-41. Rem Lee with it, and in the final seconds of his career, hands off to Chase Fisher. Back to Lee, dishes it back to Fisher. The senior takes a dribble, passes to the left for Vogel. He's a sophomore, he'll be back. Fisher dials up a three and he airballs. Good defense from Miles Stewart. 25 seconds left. DePaul Prep student section chanting airball. Not sure that's necessary at this point, but either way. William O'Shields dribbles around, tries a layup, and he's fouled hard. 13 seconds left, and O'Shields will have a chance to put the finishing touches on this one.
DePaul Prep going to get some more players off the bench in. Everybody on the team's going to get to share this moment.
Looks like Cole Jungworth, a junior. Jack Kennessy, also a junior, and Rashawn Porter coming in off the deep bench. And these guys deserve just as much credit as the fellas who are in the starting five and in the rotation all season long. These are the guys who get the team ready every day in practice and have done a great job throughout the postseason, clearly. Free throw missed from William O'Shields into the hands of BCC and Rem Lee. He dribbles it into the corner, passes up top to Rye Pertz. The senior passes to the right wing. Will Vogel hangs onto it, and it's all over. DePaul Prep, for the first time ever, stands atop the class of IHSA 2A. They are state champions. 65-41 win over BCC. And looking at the Saints bench, a few players in tears, including Cole Serta. And that goes to show you see a guy like Cole Serta who's really laid it all out on the line, had incredible individual effort, but for most guys, it doesn't matter unless you come home with that trophy. And just that raw emotion right now, Serta wiping tears from his face as he goes through the handshake line.
Yeah, obviously, it's one of the biggest games for these guys. They play all season long to get here, and to lose and get second, it's tough. You know, it's a lot of emotion goes into this game. All the practices, hard work, the sweat, the blood, the tears, you could say, everything laying on the line. And Cole Serta, only a junior, will have another year next year, but great effort, good season from BCC.
I want to thank our sponsors one more time for making our coverage of Bloomington Central Catholic at the state finals possible. High End Hoops basketball training. High End Hoops basketball training, providing Central Illinois with detail-oriented basketball workouts. It's individual training in a group setting. Visit highendhoops.com, H-E-Y-E-N hoops.com. I'm sure a lot of BCC players heading right back in the gym, maybe even starting tomorrow to try and get back here next year. Also brought to you by the Athlete Factory in Bloomington Normal. Come train with the best athletes in Central Illinois. Visit info at thefactorybn.com. That would be email info at thefactorybn.com for more information. Saints standing on the baseline in a little disbelief. Shock on their faces, and you know, John, you can prepare for a state title game. You scout the opponents. You watch so much film. You practice hard in the days leading up. But nothing can prepare you for a moment like this. Losing 53, or rather, by the final score that they did, 65-41 by a wide margin. Not much can prepare you for that.
No, it can, and you know, a hard defeat obviously late in this game. They had no choice but to foul, just try to force some shots up, but we talked about this, DePaul Prep, all the talent up and down this roster, and they really put that on display today. It's a great group effort.
Well, John, that'll about do it for our coverage of the 2A bracket with a rather 65-41 victory for DePaul Prep over Bloomington Central Catholic. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, just another game where two teams really put it all on the line out there, but DePaul Prep, you know, just that well-rounded effort. It really came to not only on the offensive end, but the defensive end. Really disrupted Bloomington Central Catholic, took them out of their game shooting threes. I believe they only hit 6 or 7 threes for the game after attempting 28 of them. So, you know, when you take BCC out of their rhythm, kind of things fall in your favor. But, you know, great effort for BCC, great effort for the state champion DePaul Prep. Just a good game overall.
A complete performance for the DePaul Prep Rams as they win their first ever IHSA 2A state title. Well-deserved and hard-earned. The Rams finished their year atop the state with a 23-12 record under head coach Tom Kleinschmidt. Congrats to the Rams. BCC's season falls short in the state title game. However, an epic season from them. 26-12 is their final record. So for everybody here in the State Farm Center, our entire Clutch Sports Media team, Teddy Ball, Jack Larson, Joey Wright, Jonathan Michael, Charles Green, Kenny Clifton, and for my partner, John Camosa, this is Larry Larson saying thank you for listening on your Saturday afternoon, and hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be sure to join us tonight for coverage of the 3A state title game between the Metamora Redbirds and the Chicago Simeon Wolverines. Tune in on ESPNPeoria.com. One final time, the final score this afternoon, DePaul Prep 65, Bloomington Central Catholic Saints 41. So long, everybody.